Hey everybody, Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon. Today we're looking at a couple of pro-revenge stories. First one, former boss botches me, then tries to withhold pay when I quit, pays the ultimate piper when I push back. Let's jump right in. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. I consider myself a decent person and an above average employee. I worked for a medical office directly under a doctor for almost 2 years and was consistently facing issues with him from the start. He was aloof, unhelpful, didn't want to train or help establish protocol, just wanted me to run everything and take the fall for anything that went wrong. He was married with children, but flirted and slept with numerous patients and staff members. This isn't unheard of in this field, so I often just kept my nose down and tried to do my best at my job regardless of his after-hour activities. Problems started to arise more and more though, as he hired people based on looks and his attraction to them versus their qualifications to do the job. I tolerated a lot of bullshit. But the last straw was when he wanted me to do somewhat illegal activities financially, and when I refused, the games began. I could sense that he was unhappy with my unwillingness to do whatever he wanted me to willy-nilly, but I didn't think he was upset enough to justify punishing me or trying to get rid of me in any way. Then literally all hell broke loose after a minor procedure I had him do for me. We were in good standing, or so I thought, and I thought nothing of having him do it at the time. What sucked royally is that he botched my procedure and caused permanent damage. That wasn't even the worst part, the way he dealt with it was. Instead of apologizing and offering to make it right, to which I'm pretty understanding and would have accepted, he denied anything was even wrong or had happened under his care. He went into total cover mode and methodically started to try to get rid of me without firing me, as it would definitely be wrongful termination, and the tension was becoming unbearable more and more each day. I was hoping he would make it right and we could move on, but instead every day was full of scrutiny of my choices and work, and even a write-up for a minor offense that I had no prior warning about. I could see the writing on the wall and realized he was going to wash his hands of me as quickly as possible to preserve his precious reputation, which I could definitely disrupt now with his mistake with me. I noticed shortly after, while on a planned vacation, he was advertising for my job. I decided to quit then and there instead of be fired. I was trying to fix the botch prior to quitting and hoping he would help financially. Nope, not gonna happen. I told him I was quitting, and since we were under very abnormal circumstances, that I would not be offering my typical 2-week notice. He was pissed. He was late with my last paycheck, in which he sent a snide letter with telling me he was done with me and my care with him. I noticed that the check was short for 2 sick days I had taken after the botch. We are talking around $275, but it was still enough money that I felt rightly owed. I had a ton of sick pay left and didn't even give it a second thought until now, and thought maybe he just forgot to add it. Nope, he responded curtly saying I hadn't accumulated enough time to pay for the days. I asked to see proof of that because I knew I had enough time. He changed the accumulation date to another month and said tough luck, wasn't going to pay. I told him blatantly that this was wrong and that I would have to report it to the labor board if he couldn't show me proof. He just bullied me back and insisted it is what he says it is, and again, tough luck. He even said to quit contacting him about it or he would report me for harassment to law enforcement. So I went to the labor board. I brought in my contract and asked them about numerous questionable offenses. They couldn't believe how many skewed things were actually going on that I had accepted because I didn't know or he had convinced me otherwise. They had me file for all of the offenses and said they would send us both a letter letting us know the mediation date. Got the letter in the mail from the labor board and almost fell over dead right then and there. what was originally a $275 offense, with the other minor claims and now penalties added from the labor board, the total was now $6,500. I laughed hysterically and couldn't believe it at first. I thought about him receiving the same letter that day and just reveled at the thought admittedly. Keep in mind, he didn't know at this point that I had actually went to the labor board as I promised. He didn't think I would do it. He thought he had won up to this point. Mediation day rolls around and he sits across from me with the mediator there and is steaming under the pressure now. We both share our sides, which he lied about numerous things of course, and then we talk separately with the mediator. She explains to me that my case may be hard to prove, being somewhat he said, she said. She encourages me to kind of take whatever he offers. Before leaving the room with her, I bring up one more thing to her that I was unsure of and didn't ask about before. It involved him not paying overtime, and she lit up like a damn Christmas tree. Bingo! With that type of offense and me being able to show verifiable proof, he would have to pay the penalties starting at $6,000 and whatever the judge added after that. She went and told him of this new claim, and he fumed out of the building, saying I shouldn't be able to add anything at this point, not the case at all, and that he needed to speak with his lawyer. I get a new claim in the mail with the added offense weeks later. The total is now $9,600. I die again laughing and just basking in the thought of him getting this new claim. There was no contact from him this whole time, but now suddenly there is an email sent to me in the sweetest tone I've ever heard him speak. He pleaded with me that he never meant to withhold anything from me and that he would like to settle all this peacefully outside of the court. Of course he would, I thought to myself. I forwarded the email to our mediator and told her that I did not want to respond and asked her to deal with him and let him know I wanted to continue the no contact he requested earlier. Weeks go by, we are creeping closer to a court date. Suddenly the offer rolls in, $4,000 and he will settle. I was set on $5,000 because of all the hassle I had to go through up to this point. I tell the mediator to tell him nope, $6,000. Silence for another week or two, then the offer of $5,000 comes in. That was my number, so waited a couple of days just to shake him up a bit more, and the mediator let him know I'd accept it. I received the payoff within a week, and then I got to wash my hands of him in the end. He thought he could cheat me and bully me, as I'm sure he has gotten away with it in the past. I gave him a swift lesson that could have just cost him $275 to do the right thing, but now I'm going on a vacation to Hawaii and will sip a Mai Tai on his dime for trying to take back what I had rightfully earned and more. I don't know if I'd call a labor dispute pro-revenge. This seems more like a justice served story. One thing this story does for us though is it lets people know that there are options when they get screwed over by an employer. The labor board is there for a reason. Make sure you look into it and make sure you use it because these employers need to be made to pay for things that they're doing wrong. On to our second story. Yell at me and my staff? Fine. Good luck running the office on your own. Let's jump right in. I used to work in a small family-owned doctor's office. A couple of years in, they got a legal fight and experienced staff started leaving. Being young and dumb, I wanted to be loyal and ended up managing half of the doctor's office. The other half was managed by Brittany. She had a team of 3 that did the work of 6. The company got bought and a new owner came in. He was like Danny DeVito in gold chains and a bad toupee. He was dumb and no one respected him. He screamed constantly about little things at anyone. He micromanaged and didn't bother to understand someone's job before telling them how to do it better. He tried to streamline processes without knowing how they worked, but mostly he yelled. One day, the hardest working person in the entire clinic, a nurse who started every appointment, was a few minutes late. She was a single mother and her kid was sick, so she showed up less than 10 minutes later than usual. Danny proceeded to berate the nurse in front of the entire office. scream about dumb things like being a few minutes late, then strange things like how she wrote dates, then absurd things like how her bedside manner sucked. She had gotten flowers the day before from a patient because she was so good. When the nurse put in her notice at the end of the day, Danny fired her on the spot, told her to leave and never come back. I had been job searching and had actually gotten an offer. I was planning on giving a lot of notice, but couldn't give notice if I'd be fired immediately. I had student loans and was paycheck to paycheck. I grabbed the 2 remaining members of the admin staff and explained that I was going to quit without notice before too long. Brittany understood and said she too was in the final stages of taking a new job. We agreed that we would quietly all find new jobs, then duck out when it was convenient. We had to quietly let all the other staff know, and each of us quietly started smuggling our personal effects out of the office. I had a start date 2 weeks out, but honestly couldn't give notice without risking my financial health. A week or so later, Danny started screaming about the color of tape I'd used to duct tape down a power cable months before. I had used orange and yellow to make it more visible, but Danny said that was unprofessional. I asked him how he'd like me to fix it. Well, that's not my problem, that's yours. I paused for a second and said, you know, I don't think it's my problem. I'm out. I grabbed my small box of desk things as Danny howled at me. You will never find another job in this town. I own every doctor's office in this county. I don't need you since I've got Brittany. Brittany looked at him and said, I've been meaning to tell you that today is my last day. We packed our things and walked out as Danny called the cops saying his employees were stealing things like their own birthday cards and pictures of their kids. We texted the 3rd employee who was on lunch and explained what happened. It sounds like she didn't go back, and without front desk, billing, or nursing staff, a doctor's office simply can't run. I'm told they were closed for almost 2 weeks before they got temporary employees, but had no one to train them. Danny shuttered and resold the business a few months later to the big dog in the industry, which is a charity. Since their books are open, we saw that they bought the company, really just the clients list, for about 15% less than what Danny had paid a few months prior. There's a saying that most people don't leave a job, they leave a manager, and that seems to be what's happening in this case as well. I honestly hope that Danny has an extremely hard time setting up any other business in the future. I already know that he's definitely going to have a hard time keeping any kind of employees working with him. I want to thank both of the OPs for posting these stories to the ProRevenge subreddit. You can visit them at the links in the description below. Please go there and give them an upvote. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.